Good morning. Today we are going to talk about when we need to factor a trinomial, so we're staying with quadratic trinomials, where your a is greater than 1. And so if we look at number 13, continuing from the page for yesterday, which I said is either 18 or 16, I'm not 100% sure on your package that you have at home. If we look at number 13, and we see that first of all it is in the standard form. So 2x squared minus 15x plus 18. And we're going to list our a, b, and c. So our a is equal to 2, our b is equal to negative 15, and our c is equal to 18. Now I've already looked, but every time you approach any factoring problem, you always look for, bringing it back up, the greatest common factor. Now with number 13, I reviewed and saw that I have 2, negative 15, and 18, and so therefore I don't have a greatest common factor among the coefficients. You're still going to use your factor cross. Your factor cross, as a reminder, is a times c, and on the bottom we want factors of a times c that would add to be our b. Our b is negative 15, just straight from the standard formula. And then we have 2 times 18, which is going to be 36, and that's a positive number. So now we're looking for factors of a positive 36 that will add to be a negative 15. If we are trying to multiply to be a positive, again as a reminder, it would have to be a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative. So we want our sum to be a negative number, so that tells us that our two numbers are both going to be negative. So the factors of 36, 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12. Have we found something that would add to be a negative 15? So negative 12 and negative 3. So those are going to be our factors. And this is where things get a little different. So when we're factoring by grouping, what we need to do is we are going to bring down our first term, so 2x squared, and then we are going to split our second term, that negative 15x. We're going to split it into our two factors. We're just going to rewrite it. So negative 12x, negative 3x plus 18. Now I haven't changed the value of anything, because if we added together negative 12x plus a negative 3x, then we would still get negative 15x. I'm just breaking that middle term into two factors that will allow me to do a special factoring model called grouping. If your a is greater than 1, then you always must use grouping. And that's if your a is greater than 1 after checking for the greatest common factor. Very important, very important, very important. So now let's proceed. We're going to take our 2x, and this is where we group 2x squared minus 12x, and I'm going to draw a little line in between because we're dividing it in two. Then we have negative 3x plus 18. And so now we're going to factor out our greatest common factor of the first two. They're both even, and 2 is our greatest number, so we know that we have a 2 that we can factor out. We also know that they both have an x. We have an x squared and an x. So factor out 1x. 2x squared divided by 2x leaves us with an x. Negative 12x, just working through our terms, divided by 2x is a negative 6. And then we're going to look at our other side. We know that when we're factoring by grouping, we have to have the exact same binomial term inside the parentheses for this to work. If you don't have the exact same binomial term inside the parentheses when you group, then you've done something wrong or you cannot factor it by grouping. So if we want x minus 6 to be our binomial term on the left side, let's see what we can factor out that would satisfy that condition. So negative 3x divided by x is a negative 3. And then positive 18 divided by a negative 6, well, that's a negative 3. So that's going to work because we can say, just looking back, if we say negative 3 times x minus 6, well, that still equals negative 3x plus 18, which is what we started with. And then if we multiply 2x times x minus 6, that gives us 2x squared minus 12x, which is what we started with. So therefore, our factors are the greatest common factor now, which is the binomial inside the parentheses, x minus 6, and then what we're multiplying that x minus 6 by on each side. So 2x minus 3. And there we go. We are completely done. That is factoring by grouping.